It's the Sports Lounge 114th edition. Charlie Hildebrand, Nathan Stacken, David Schottenkirk. I'm Travis Kriens. We're going with LSU, my favorite state in the Union, and the purple and the yellow is what we're going with today.
There you go.
Chicago White Sox, 'tis baseball season. They were established in 1901. Also the Minnesota Wild. I don't know, you're in Fargo. You're hundreds of miles away from Minneapolis. I have no idea.
Just a couple hundred.
Yes, and David Schottenkirk, the blue man himself, right there in the corner. So, playoffs, tons of playoffs. The hockey and the basketball playoffs have gotten underway. I'm not too excited about the basketball playoffs. Marcus, he will not join us, but he said he was not too excited. Got underway yesterday with a games weren't all that great. Rockets and Mavericks scored a lot of points back and forth there. A couple of big leads blown. Bulls 103-91 over Milwaukee. That should be a quick series. Wizards and Raptors went in overtime 93-86. That game sucked. And the Warriors played the Pelicans, got up by 20 points early, hung on to win at the end 106-99. Some better games today with the main event at approximately 1 in the morning. Spurs and Clippers. David, should we be excited about these playoffs, or should we just wait a couple weeks until things really get going?
Well, personally, I'm quite excited. There is reasons for you and Draxler to not be so up for the first round anyways, but I think there's enough for me to latch on to. Spurs Clippers, obviously the premier series. Your take on the Bucks Bulls, I think, is completely misguided. I think that has potential. Milwaukee played very well for stretches yesterday. I think that goes at least 6 games. I think it's going to be a lot harder series than you think they're giving the Milwaukee credit for. I could be wrong. Rockets Mavs, I think that's 6 or 7 game series. I think Dallas has enough. I'm still not sold on Houston being able to win on the road. Harden's got to do everything for them. They won yesterday. Good for them. That's going to be a longer series. Portland, Memphis, no one's talking about. From a pure basketball perspective, that's going to be a very good series matchup-wise and stylistically. In the East, today Cleveland's going to start their rampage through Boston. Atlanta and Brooklyn shouldn't go more than 5. You look at the other couple series, Toronto has potential to go 7. It might be 6 or 7 very boring games. We'll probably have a big-time game late in that series if C gets murdered by Atlanta in the next round. There's enough for me. I think there's storyline-wise, potential finals matchups, either Spurs Cavs, potentially Warriors Cavs with Curry, Thompson, all that young talent there. Great season they had. Match those guys up against LeBron, Kyrie, and the whole gang in Cleveland for 7 games, and you'll be able to get interest by then. But if you want to sit out this first round, I don't have a beef with that.
I will give Milwaukee a game. If Derrick Rose plays like that, that'll be fun. Them in Cleveland. Looking forward to that. Besides the Clippers and the Spurs, I don't see a whole lot of upsets here, or potential for upsets. Dallas and Houston, I'm kind of with you there. Houston, entertaining to watch, can score a lot. I don't think they're a real threat to anybody. I think there's a lot of teams here that peaked early or peaked earlier in the season, in like Portland and Memphis, which played really well early on, and then the second half got here, and they haven't played as well. And
Portland's also injured, though.
Yeah, Portland's injuries. Memphis, they were a little banged up, rested some guys late. And then you got Washington and Toronto. They peaked early, and their guards did not play well, did not shoot well for either side. That was a goddamn rock fight of a game to watch. Stacken, thoughts on these first-round playoff games? Any? I'm assuming Spurs Clippers does it for you, but any other series besides that?
Well, Spurs Clippers, that's the only series I see going to 7 games. I think that will be the best of the series. I do think that the Portland and Memphis does have a potential to be a very good series because Portland loves to score and Memphis loves to play defense. So you're kind of seeing those two go at it. I'm going to give you one that's a little under the radar, but in light of Thabo Sefolosha's injury, I do think Brooklyn can give the Hawks a bit of a run. I've picked the Hawks in 5, but that's the series, I think, to me, that if there's one big upset, I would take the Nets over the Hawks.
Is that the police coming for another North Dakota State football player? What is that?
Yes, it is.
On the loose again. They're on the loose. Get 'em.
I think it's John Crockett. He's a bad guy.
Hide your women, hide your children.
Fourth round pick now undrafted. Son of a gun. I'd much rather would have seen Indiana in there instead of Brooklyn.
But you take a look at Brooklyn's roster, and they have guys like Joe Johnson, Brooke Lopez, Darren Williams. If he wants to pull his head out of his ass, that would be great.
Thaddeus Young, the greatest player this side of the Mississippi.
Yeah, he's got a lot of potential.
That's right.
I look at what Atlanta's done, and there's no doubt that their head coach from San Antonio, I don't even know his name, but bringing that San Antonio culture to Atlanta really helped them. Kyle Korver's been great this year. They have a lot of balance, but they did sort of taper off a little bit at the end of the season, and I do think Cephalosha's injury is going to prove big. Maybe not this series, but for a potential Eastern Conference Finals matchup against Cleveland, if they can even get by Chicago in the semis.
This has got to be the last time Brooklyn's make the playoffs for a long time.
Yes, but I think the only reason they made it is because of Lionel Hollins. I mean, he never got enough credit down in Memphis. He's a very good coach. I don't think if they didn't have him, the Nets wouldn't be in the playoffs.
It's been a steep decline for Darren Williams, an all-star now, not even close to that. And Lopez, solid big guy. But the cupboard is pretty bare. First-round picks for years going to Boston.
And this is a reach on my part too, saying that.
Yes, it is.
But that is like the biggest upset I can go. Otherwise, I see the favorites, except for Washington. I'm going to give Washington the series win over Toronto.
Yeah. Spurs Clippers. You like the?
Oh yeah, yep. I'm sorry. Yeah, I guess I like Spurs in 7 too.
And really, I mean, it's not much of an upset. They're separated by 1 win.
And
3 versus 6.
A question for you on the Portland-Memphis series. If Portland's the 4 seed, how come Memphis is getting 4 games at home?
Memphis had more wins. They go strictly by record, regardless if you win your division or not, because Memphis didn't win their division. Portland did, but Memphis had more wins. Thus, they get home court advantage regardless.
Oh, okay.
If you win your division, you can finish no lower than 4th.
Okay.
Right.
So, Charlie, you watched some Golden State and New Orleans yesterday. A fast start by New Orleans, or Golden State, I should say, and the Pelicans fought back the rest of the game. Very impressive performance. Your takeaways from Game 1?
Yeah, I mean, aside from the fact that I didn't have to work at that point in time, which was one of the biggest factors, but there's certainly a specific reason I picked to watch that game, and it was because when you get a chance to watch Anthony Davis, I think that's fun because he's been fantastic all year, and then you combine that with Golden State, their style of play, and it's really, when they execute at a high level, they might be one of the most fun teams to watch in recent memory. And I think it's just, I don't know, I think it's fun when you can see guys that can shoot the way 7th graders play video game basketball, where they're just going to shoot threes all the time, and I enjoyed that. And certainly Golden State looked pretty good for the most part. It was surprising that that Curry missed so many free throws. I think he finished the game 4 of 7 from the free throw line, which for a guy who shoots over 90% was pretty odd. But I would imagine that Golden State, I mean, they might have a couple of other close games. I don't think they're going to sweat too much over the series in round 1. And like I said last week, I just hope we're getting the Golden State, Atlanta Hawks, NBA Finals.
Absolutely. Kyle Korver and Curry going to have a 3-point contest.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis is really good, an MVP candidate, one of the 5 best players in the league. But, Mr. Schottenkirk, the West has very, very many good teams, and all those good teams have more than 1 star. In New Orleans, they only have 1 star right now. Can he, by himself, with the current roster, current talent, be any better than a 6-7 seed in the West?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's potential for that entire team still gelling. They have pieces that are still relatively young. Tyreek Evans is a guy that I like. Some other people don't like. He's been more consistent this year. Allman said something about that he didn't like his style of play, that he was garbage or whatever. I completely disagree with that. Any given night, he'll get you, I think he averaged 17, 18 points and 6, 7 rebounds and 5 or 6 assists. That's pretty solid. Eric Gordon, again. Drew Holiday's been hurt, but there is limited upside. They're never probably going to be pushed for a top 2 or 3 seed the next year or two unless they do some retooling of the roster. But I think they could, Davis is only getting better. He's only 21, 22 years old. They could, get a 3 or 4 seed in the next year or two because I think there's a few teams in the West that are really, really talented right now that have records that are going to be falling off in the next year or two unless they can retool their roster quicker.
Something that I haven't heard a lot about, maybe it is, and I just missed it, but that Southwest Division in the West, every team made the playoffs. All 5 teams made the playoffs. The 5, 6, 7, 8 seeds, Memphis, San Antonio, Dallas, New Orleans, with Houston getting the 2 seed. The top 3 teams are separated by a single game. I think that is tremendous. So, NBA, would you say, obviously the NBA, more than any other sport, is the fewest upsets when we get later in the deal here. Baseball, you can see Kansas City. There's been plenty of wild card teams get in, make the World Series, and win it. Football had their run. Hockey, ridiculous. Just the 7-game series, the basketball, the sport lends itself to the best team winning more often than not?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, you look at the last time they were champions, you look at the champions in NBA history, when it comes down to it, the teams that win the titles have Hall of Fame caliber players on them. And if you don't, you can make a run, you can make the conference finals, but it's very, very rare. It's almost never happened where a championship team didn't have at least 2 very good players and one soon-to-be or surefire Hall of Famer. Yeah. So throughout history, just the last handful of years, obviously, you had LeBron for a couple of years down in Miami. San Antonio last year, probably 2, maybe 3 Hall of Famers on that team. One of the better coaches ever. Dallas, when they won a few years ago, Dirk, absolute surefire Hall of Famer. Get back into the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe, or Kobe in 2010 with a very good player in his prime and Powell. You have to have multiple guys, and there's certain teams that regular season wise that sure they've won a bunch of games. When it comes down to 7-game series, I always say 7-game series, you got to beat LeBron 4 times, and in this case, you got to beat Steph Curry and Klay Thompson 4 times. It's very, very hard to do.
Yeah, in hockey, you can ride a hot goalie. That's what the Kings did a couple years back when they were the 8 seed and they had Jonathan Quick. In baseball, if you're one of your top teams, look at the Dodgers last year. Clayton Kershaw sucked in the postseason. Dodgers are out, so if a wild card team in there gets their hot pitching and can get their bats going, it's far more different in basketball than it is in either of those 2 sports.
Yeah, in football, you only have to win 1 game. It's not
exactly.
a series. So that's easy. And then just to take Schottenkirk's point further, I mean, I'm trying to think in recent memory over the last 20 years. I can't think of a whole lot of teams that were really low seeds that even made the finals. I mean, not saying that a 4 seed's low, but I think the Rockets, when they beat the Magic, were a 6 seed.
Yep.
And I remember the Knicks made the finals as an 8 seed, but other than that, I can't think of anything else off the top of my head where someone just made the finals as a 6 seed, and you were like, wait, how'd they get there?
We're going to see it again this year.
Potentially with the Spurs as a 6 seed, falling from that 2 spot, losing the last game at New Orleans.
Yeah, and that doesn't even mean much. I mean,
yeah, I would say, I think I looked back here a few months ago. It was I think every single NBA team has that's won a title has a Hall of Fame player on it. Or will, and that Pistons team went 0-4. Might be the exception, although Larry Brown is a Hall of Fame coach. So I do not see any player on that team.
Chauncey Billups isn't getting there?
No. Chauncey Billups, Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace, Tayshaun Prince, Richard Hamilton, the rest.
Yeah.
So Tayshaun Prince never dies. He's the guy who always just keeps on playing.
Keeps on playing. What team is he on? Right now, what team is he on?
Kentucky.
Memphis, I think.
Yeah, Memphis, I think.
God damn it. Yes, he is on Kentucky.
Yeah.
He played really well. Him and
still most famous for blocking Reggie Miller's layup at the end of that 1 game?
I think so, and for being an ugly son of a bitch, but other than that, I'd say.
And for being named Tayshaun.
Tayshaun. I'm going to spoil Stackin's June 15th blog here. NBA picks, Stackin.
Yep. I already put it in already.
It's already plugged in and saved.
I already gave who my NBA Finals prediction is. It was in the blog on Friday.
Okay. I caught. Toronto. What a goddamn abortion Toronto Blue Jays are. My God. You see, what a terrible goddamn defensive play. It's Spurs Cleveland or who the hell is it?
Yep, it's Spurs Cavs. Got Spurs winning it.
Do the Marcus Traxler and give us the conference finals too.
All right, I got the San Antonio Spurs against the Golden State Warriors. I picked the Hawks against the Cavs more just because I don't think people are respecting Atlanta quite as much, and I still don't really believe in Derrick Rose and the Bulls yet. I thought they didn't really play all that great this year. But I have the Hawks Cavs in the East, Spurs Warriors in the West, and Spurs over the Cavs in the NBA Finals.
Is that any different, Charlie, for you?
I don't have it in front of me, so I don't remember what seeds everyone are, but certainly I've got I mentioned that I've got Golden State against Atlanta.
The ones.
You know, I really want to say that they play my Clippers in the finals, but I don't think the Clippers are probably going to get out of the first round. No. I'll believe San Antonio loses to Los Angeles when I see it, and then, you know, I really want to pick something different than Stackin, but it's really, if I'm going to say Atlanta makes the finals, it's really tough to pick anyone other than Cleveland to play them in the conference finals.
Yes.
So I guess I'm going different title game, but same 4 teams in the finals as Stackin.
Is Golden State winning?
I don't know. I'm going to have to break down the matchup a little bit more, but probably, yeah.
I'm intrigued that, you know, the Hawks and Nets. I'm intrigued by a Hawks Wizards second round series. Just the fact that Atlanta or Washington is playing for the finals. One of those two teams would be odd. David, anything different? Conference finals. The two favorites on each side making it. Do you like anything different?
Awfully tempted, believe it or not, to take the Wizards to make the conference finals. Not going to do it. Cavs over Hawks in the East. The West for me is completely different. I see it different than just about anybody. I see better get the air horn out for this one. I've got Clippers, Grizzlies, Western Conference Finals.
Grizzlies? Okay.
The Clippers going to the finals.
Clippers.
Cavs over Clippers in the NBA Finals. LeBron gets his third ring.
I like David's pick better than I like mine.
Clippers and Hawks, or Clippers and Houston. Multiple All-Stars. Just don't win. They don't win series. They don't do things. This is do something. Beat somebody. You have home court versus the Spurs. Beat them. Beat Dallas.
I'm only picking Spurs Cavs because that was my pick at the beginning of this. So I figure I may as well stick with the guns.
Yeah, and this will be probably the toughest road the Lakers or the Spurs have faced. They've had to beat the Lakers a couple times on the way to the finals, but this is a tough road to hoe here. They got to beat the Clippers, and they probably got to beat Golden State in the conference finals, and Houston along the way. I mean, Golden State losing 2 at home all year is quite difficult. I think one of them was against the Spurs, I think. So it has been done. So hopefully things pick up here in the next couple of weeks as far as the basketball playoffs are concerned. The hockey playoffs.
It only takes 3 weeks for the first round of the NBA playoffs to get done.
It wouldn't kill you to not have 2 days off between games. At least hockey gets it done every other day. Let's get it done. That's fine with me.
They do have 1 2-day break in each series, but
what a bunch of assholes there. You've had some series here tied up 1 game apiece. You had a guy slash a guy in the wrist. That was a big deal. People cared about that. You had a fight the other night. I enjoyed that.
Yep.
The Wild won. The Wild lost.
Yeah. They should have won that game yesterday. So many.
They didn't because they didn't score more goals. So.
Thanks.
I mean, what's going on? What's got you hard stacking on these playoffs here?
Well, you know what? There is some news coming out of Ottawa that they aren't going with the Hamburglar anymore.
Oh, what? So much news about this guy I've never heard of, and then 2 games in, he's out?
I don't really get it. He's the only reason why Ottawa even got to the postseason.
What the hell?
So this that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The Washington Capitals, they have even their series with the Islanders. That's a very intriguing series. Alexander Ovechkin doesn't always play well in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So the series goes here. Pittsburgh, New York, that series tied up at 1. I don't think ultimately that Pittsburgh will have enough to take down the Rangers. The Wild stealing Game 1 in St. Louis, that was great. I think they win this series in 6. That is my prediction. It's very biased, but I don't care. Chicago-Nashville, that series is very intriguing. Nashville scored, I think, 3 goals in a 2-minute span in the third period to just blow out the Hawks on Friday night. They have Game 3 here today. It's been a very intriguing playoff so far. The Jets, Ducks, I haven't paid too much attention to, but those games have been close, and the Ducks have had to come back. So I think that series could go to 7. But nothing too big other than PK Subban slashing the Ottawa Senator. I think it's Stone or something, the rookie, and microfracture on his wrist. But he's a hockey player, so he'll play.
No
suspension for Subban. I'm a little surprised at that.
Should he have been suspended?
I'd have given him a game.
The guy, he said, was injured, came back to play in Game 1. He played in Game 2 as well, or was he out?
I believe he played. I'll have to look back at that. But I mean, the fact that he came back in obviously means it wasn't nearly as serious as it could be. And then they're saying, oh, he might miss Game 2. We don't know. If he missed any time, I'm of the opinion that you should be suspended. If the guy's going to miss any time now, because he didn't, that definitely throws a little bit of a wrench into that consideration of that plan. But I mean, it was a very malicious intent. He did get kicked out for the entire game, and if I remember correctly, that was in the second period too. So he did get the game misconduct, which is good, and not just a major penalty or a 5-minute penalty or anything like that, and got to go back in. So that is somewhat sufficient punishment enough. But I think Subban should have been suspended a game.
Has any team fired their coach yet in the playoffs or not?
Not yet. Not yet. I would imagine it's going to happen though. And this Mark Stone, he did play in Game 2. He recorded an assist, so good for him.
So you imagine some coach will be fired here in the next few weeks.
Hockey does it all the time, so
I would really like that.
After taking a 1-0 lead, they gave up 2 goals in the second period, and management had just had enough, fired them in the middle of the game.
I think the best story that come out of the NHL season this year happened in Florida, where their 2 goalies got injured in the same game, and they signed one of their assistant coaches to an immediate contract, and he was going to go in, but the starting goalie, I think it was Roberto Luongo, ended up coming back in because they couldn't get their AHL affiliate goalie to come back. That's probably my favorite story of the NHL season.
And they held, open tryouts for fans to be an emergency goalie of some sorts?
Yeah, yep. It's amazing that you find any people down in South Beach that know how to skate. So, but I don't know. I mean,
to be fair, do you really have to know how to skate? If you're just like 6'8" and 370, you should probably make a pretty good goalie by just.
I don't know why more teams don't do that. I mean, you wouldn't have to move at all.
It's worth a try. Get a sumo guy in there.
Yep. The playoffs have been very good so far. A lot of great action. NHL playoffs are my favorite playoffs to watch.
As are mine.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. But I don't know, just the action back and forth, very good. And I anticipate we'll have quite a good couple of weeks here with the first round, and then going on into June with the Stanley Cup. I think the Wild will get into the second round.
Okay. Alexander Ovechkin, I'm quite tired of that story of him not doing anything in the postseason after having great regular seasons. That gets old. Yep. Explain to me this Chicago goaltending situation, because there seems to be a big time change here.
Well, Corey Crawford has been outstanding for the Blackhawks in their Stanley Cup titles here in recent years, and he gave up 3 goals in The first game against Nashville, they pulled him after the first period, and the rookie Scott Darling comes in, stops 42 shots, just outstanding. Blackhawks come back, went 4-3 in double OT, and then afterward, Coach Mike Quenneville said, no, we're going to go back to Crawford for Game 2. He gets lit up like no one's business, and now they will start Darling in Game 3. This whole back and forth. Now, if Darling has a bad game today against Nashville, will you go back to Crawford? This is a precarious situation for Chicago in terms of their goaltending here. Obviously, you ride the hot hand, but I can't imagine. It's kind of like the Wild earlier in the season when they didn't have two really good or any good goalies. You can score a lot, but if you don't have confidence that your netminder is going to stop all the shots, and that's going to spell doom for Chicago in the playoffs if they don't get something figured out.
Charlie, would you say the goalies in hockey are more like pitchers, starting pitchers in baseball, or more like quarterbacks in football, or a little bit of both? In that it seems like they very important, the most important spot on the ice, field, or whatever the hell. It seems like in the NFL, teams are less apt to take a starting quarterback out, but in baseball, I mean, you switch pitchers out quite often. Would you say it's more like a starting pitcher, maybe more like a quarterback?
Little known fact, I'm not a diehard hockey expert, but I've always thought of them in terms of pitchers in baseball, and it's just that they happen to start almost every game, where obviously pitchers can't do that in baseball. I've always thought of them like that because they're defensive guys in charge of attempting to eliminate the other team from getting any runs, points, goals, whatever your sport deems the scoring tallies.
I think goalie is the most important. An NHL goalie has the single most decided factor in a team's playoff success over any position in any sport, basketball, football, baseball, you name it, because like you say, they're in every night. A starting pitcher is not necessarily playing every game unless he's Madison Bumgarner last year.
I think 30 years ago, I might agree. I think you could make a pretty strong case that it's a quarterback in the NFL now, because it's kind of to the point that if you don't have a quarterback, that you're not gonna make it far enough. But
that's an interesting. That's an interesting. I can see both sides of that. That's something to go head on. I don't know.
And that's not to say that hockey goalies aren't important. I mean, just because I don't follow it closely, I still certainly understand the importance of eliminating the other team scoring goals. They're both very crucial.
What about a good hitter on a beach volleyball team, 2-on-2?
That's at least number 3.
That's at least half. That's at least half there. That's interesting. So
I always thought the most important thing in playoffs was the manager in the Survivor Series that can distract the ref while someone else hits someone with a chair.
The argument can be made there as well. Someone on the outside, not in the match, inserting themselves into the match. So great hockey playoffs. We'll have these for the next 5 months, so that'll be exciting. We'll revisit them on a weekly basis.
Have you watched any hockey yet?
I'm watching it right now. I got my Islanders. My Islanders versus the Flames in the finals. I got to get that there, man.
I did immediately think of you after the Flames beat Vancouver in Game 1 and after the Islanders beat Washington. I'm like, Kriens might be on to something here.
I thought of myself as well. I said, myself, good pick. Good pick. I was trying to tabulate it up. I would guess I've seen, total 5 minutes here, 2 minutes here. I'd say I've seen at least 20 minutes regulation of hockey. Probably not 2 full periods of hockey. That'll probably I've had this game on. I've not paid attention to it. I've paid attention.
As long as you're at least paying attention to it a little bit, you turn it on here and there. That's great. We appreciate you doing that here. I did not watch any NBA playoffs yesterday because it's on that network.
On TV?
I don't really like their basketball coverage, but I will be watching some today on TNT.
Good, fair enough. And I don't like, the NBA playoffs. We talked about how, not a lot of upsets when it comes to conference finals and finals. But then hockey's on the way opposite side of the deal where you really can't predict anything even based on home court. Like, well, I'll assume these teams will be tied at 1, then I'll assume these teams will be tied at 2 games apiece at some point. No.
What was that thing before March Madness that Traxler showed us where, like, you could do your bracket together, and then there was, like, a madness meter where, like, the NBA is the crazy meter on the lowest scale, and the NHL is cranked up to, like, 80 or 90% every year. Where it's just like, nope, you have no idea. Seedings, records, none of this means anything.
It is irrelevant. In baseball news, we have somebody who has a Matt Harvey Pitcher of the Week nominee, a write-in candidate, Drew Amon, going with Jesse Hahn. Stacken gives no shits again.
I'll be
Okay. Jesse Hahn, Oakland starting pitcher, got him in a trade with San Diego. He pitched 5 1/3 shutout innings versus Kansas City yesterday on the road for a finger problem. Had him come out of the game. Should be fine for his next start. So he's had a decent start to the season. He was my nominee for Pitcher of the Year on No-Name Pitcher to make a big impact this year. That is Drew's nominee. Does anybody else have a nominee for a No-Name Pitcher of the Week?
Yeah, I've got one for you. Chris Heston from the Giants. He has been 3 starts now. He pitched very well again last night against the Diamondbacks. Just pulling up his numbers here. I think his ERA is right around 1. 27 years old. He's just starting to surface now. He's been in the minors for the last 4 or 5 years. Through, let's see here, 3 starts, it looks like his ERA is .87, whip under 1, 16 strikeouts. Last night, 7 2/3, 1 run, 6 strikeouts. If we go Hahn, I have no big deal, but Heston deserves a mention anyways.
Heston is a very, very good pick. 3 starts, 20 innings. He's given up 2 earned runs. So that's very good. He is an obscure name. I'm going with Anthony DeScalfani from the Cincinnati Reds. Again, his picture on ESPN still has his Miami Marlins hat on from last year. Get that fixed. The Reds background, Marlins hat. So obviously nobody cares enough about him to actually notice that he has the hat of the wrong team on. So he's my nominee this week. He pitched a outstanding game earlier in the week against somebody, which I really like. Two starts this year, 13 innings, 11 strikeouts, ERA of 1.38. So he's pitched 13 innings, and he's given up a total of 2 earned runs. His last start was against the Chicago Cubs, a 2-hitter over 7 innings. That was really good. So we put this to the jury of 2. Jesse Hahn of Oakland, Anthony DeScalfani of Cincinnati, or Chris Heston of San Francisco. Charlie, any of those 3, perk your ears.
The guy from Cincinnati.
Nathan.
I agree. The guy from Cincinnati. San Francisco's not doing it for me.
Not doing it for you?
Nope.
He's got the best stats of the bunch.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. I would say
aren't very good this year, so.
Well, it's April 19th, Stack, and relax. Jesus.
I would say I like David's pick because it's the most obscure name of the 3, and it is the guy that's had the most impressive start of the 3. So I might go with Chris Heston. So I don't know what we have decided.
I think they're all good choices.
I don't know what I don't know.
You persuaded me. I'll go Heston.
I would say
really sticking to his guns.
I would say Heston, based on the fact that I think Jesse Hahn will continue to do well, and he can be a nominee at another time. And Anthony DeScalfani hopefully will continue to do well. Chris Heston, I don't know how long that will last. So I would put a motion to have Chris Heston be our pitcher of the week.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. So Chris Heston, the pitcher, Matt Harvey pitcher of the week, with his 20 2/3 innings thus far and an ERA under 1. Very exciting. Does anybody remember who the hell it was last week? Because I sure as hell don't.
I do not.
Some guy for Oakland?
I nominated a couple of guys. It wasn't them.
Yeah, you couldn't get the Braves bullpen. I remember that.
Couldn't get the Braves bullpen or Jimmy Nelson. Traxler wanted to do Sonny Graham. Like, nope, that can't happen. So we'll look back at the tapes, make a list here, see what happened. You want to do some wrestling trivia now, Mr. Charlie Hildebrand?
That's fine with me. Is that what you guys want to do now?
Sure. We've got. We can touch on the NFL draft. After that, HGH testing in the NBA. As we appreciate Mr. Amon tuning into the program. I hope Sonny Gray wasn't our pick last week. Well, we'll see. Kris Bryant.
Wasn't it Carlos Carrasco or not?
Yes, it was. Very good. Carlos Carrasco, because he had died after being hit by a ball here earlier this week. So, good pick.
Yeah.
Your Cy Young pick, and he got off to a good start. And he got hit in the head with a pitch. So a few more things to touch on. NBA and NHL, a draft order of some sorts. NBA odds for the draft lottery are set. But halftime.
Coming out on Tuesday or Wednesday.
I could give zero shits. I give zero shits about the draft this year, and I give less than zero shits about the schedule.
I have a problem with regards to the announcement of the schedule being released, so I'll have a couple.
You understand that the 2018 schedule is already out there?
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. You can look and see what two teams.
You can see the opponents. You don't know when.
Yes.
But you don't
know. During the 2018 season, I do know when. Yes, I do. It was during the season.
I just say I have a couple of things to say on that. So.
Okay. Do you want to say them now, or when?
No, I can wait. You guys do your rest a little.
God damn it. Okay. The golf. Drew lost last week. A 4-0 sweep. So that was no good for him. A strong showing for Mr. Schottenkirk. So I decided to challenge him to a wrestling trivia. Charlie, question MC. He has 3 questions. We know the general topics of them. We do not know the specifics. So if you would, Charlie Hildebrand.
I think here's an idea. What if I tell you what the 3 questions are, and you guys decide which one you want to do first? Actually, I take it back. There's 2 that are a little bit better, I think, than one. I will do the solid question. That's not bad, but it's probably, in my opinion, the worst of the 3. But still, It's like the British Open question from last week. It's still a pretty solid question.
Yeah, do that one first. Sure.
Me being the one that knows the least of wrestling of the 3, this will sound funny, me giving the exposition to you guys, because you will know this, but The Undertaker had a long winning streak and was undefeated in WrestleMania.
That's a good question.
It looks like he was 21-0, I believe, but he defeated 17 wrestlers at WrestleMania. Can you name those 17? Well, one of them he fought 2 guys in one match, but can you name the wrestlers that The Undertaker defeated at WrestleMania?
It's a good question. David Schottenkirk, start us off here.
Okay, let's start it with Kane.
Did you say that again?
Kane?
Okay, yep. In 1998 and 2004.
Shawn Michaels.
That is correct. In 2009 and 2010.
Ric Flair.
That is correct. In 2002. Little known fact, Ric Flair was only 68 at the time of
Nice. Very good. Triple H.
That is correct. 3 times. 2001, 2011, 2012. Remember at the time my roommate bought the 2011 one, and I watched that one live. Only time I've watched a pay-per-view event live, and that was a pretty entertaining match.
Randy Orton.
Let's see. I know I saw that. Where was it? Yep, 2005.
Bray Wyatt this year. Are we just counting the undefeated streak, or all told?
this is prior to this year. This is just the guys during the undefeated
Okay,
streak.
so I will mix that answer because that's who we beat this year after he lost. And I will say Mark Henry.
In 2006. That is correct.
CM Punk.
In 2013, the last guy he beat during his undefeated streak. That is correct.
Batista.
Batista in 2007. That is correct.
Well, we're starting to get out of the ones within the last 10 years. I'm starting to go back a little ways. Diesel, Kevin Nash.
Very good.
In 1996. That is correct.
Go with Edge.
Edge in 2008. That is correct. And just to give you guys a quick recap, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 left.
Very good.
Jimmy Snuka, the first one.
In 1991, the Superfly. Correct.
Jake Roberts.
Jake the Snake in 92. Well done. Correct.
There was one where he beat two guys. Can I name both, or can I just name one?
I'm okay with you just naming one. If you want to name both, that's fine.
Well, I'll just name one because I think the other one's obscure enough. Kriens might not get out of a Big Show.
The Big Show and A-Train in 2003.
Yes. I will go with
Correct.
the Giant Gonzalez.
In 1993, and I believe he has the dubious distinction of wearing one of those Halloween costume fake muscle things.
Hairy costume deal. Airbrushed something or another.
That's correct. Okay, let's see. We have
Yeah,
3
4 left?
answers left.
Ooh.
Oh, boy. I don't think anybody said the Big Boss Man yet.
The Big Boss Man in 99. That is correct. Little known fact. He was one of my favorite wrestlers as a young child. He was a police officer that had a nightstick and had sunglasses on. When you're 6, that was pretty cool.
Pretty good. I will go with Sid.
Psycho Sid in 1997. That is correct. So does to Mr. Schottenkirk, and there is only one name left.
I'm glad you went that one because I would not have got that one. King Kong Bundy's the last one.
King Kong Bundy.
Wow.
That is correct. You guys did the entire thing. So obviously that was probably the worst question.
If
You guys got all 3 of them. Or all of them.
If Kriens would have won with King Kong Bundy, I would have never got Psycho Sid, so I kind of got lucky.
I figured it would be the other way around. I thought you would have got Sid, not King Kong. But that's why I went with
It just wasn't coming to me, but yeah.
Did either of you get Macho Man, Randy Savage?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Damn.
Too bad.
Yes, it is too bad.
We should be happy I just know that one.
Well, it's not a correct answer. It is a guy. He's fairly.
Well, yeah, I mean, at least I know it's a wrestler.
That's what we should do. Just name wrestlers you know. That should be good.
I know.
If we do that and have Stacking involved, he'd have to do probably. All right, do you want me to tell you what the next 2 are, and you guys decide which one you want to do first?
No, just pick one
Or
first.
do you want me to just pick?
Yeah, you can pick one. This is going to be a soccer match. 0-0 halftime, 0-0 after anything.
They go to penalty kicks.
Yes.
This one I sort of have to explain a little bit because you'll probably get, but I just want to make sure I say it correctly. The longest combined reigns as WWE World Heavyweight Champions. There are 4, and this one's taken off Wikipedia. There are 14 guys who have been the WWE World Heavyweight Champion for more than 365 days or a calendar year. And when I say this, this is not one reign.
Okay.
This is
Total.
all the days combined. So if you were a champion one time for 400 days, that counts as 400 days. Or if you were a champion 3 times for 200 days each, that counts as 600 days.
Okay.
So whether it's 1 time or 13 times, it does not matter.
This is only the WWF/WWE Championship.
So from only like 2002, then, if we're doing the World Heavyweight Championship.
No, this goes back. I can't give you an exact name, but there are definitely some
This would be
1990 names.
So this would be 1963 on. Does not include the world heavyweight title, I would assume. May I ask the lowest guy on the list, how many days was that?
367.
Okay. 14 of them
and
are.
I will say not all, but more of these names are names from the past 15-ish years, but there are some. There's two older names, and there's one guy I've never heard of before. Period.
Can I start off?
I'm okay with whoever wants to start.
Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan. Say your prayers and eat your vitamins, Hulkamaniacs. Number 2 on the list. 6 reigns, 2,185 total days.
Pretty good.
This champion.
Randy Savage.
Randy Savage, number 11. He had 2 reigns, total of 520 days.
I'll go with Bob Backlund.
Bob Backlund, number 3. He only had 2 reigns, but it was for 2,138 days.
Bruno Sammartino.
You were breaking up a bit. I think I heard who you said, but say it again.
Bruno Sammartino.
Yep, that is correct. He also only had 2 reigns, but it was for a combined 4,040 days. Or otherwise, by my quick basic math, more than 10 years as the heavyweight champion.
Say Pedro Morales.
Pedro Morales, that was the one name I did not recognize. He only had 1 reign, but it was for 1,027 days.
Well done, Kriens. That was my ace in the hole, so that shot the hell.
So there's been, 5 said? 9 left?
Yep, there are 9 left.
Bret Hart.
He is number 6 on this list. 5 reigns for 654 days. The best there was. I didn't even say that right, but you guys know it.
I would go with CM Punk.
CM Punk, that is correct.
Is that Daft
2
Punk's
reigns
brother?
of 462 days.
They're cousins.
Oh, okay.
Is he the one? He was the straight edge superstar or something like that?
Yes.
Oh, boy. Stone Cold.
What?
God damn, that's good. That's good.
That is correct.
Well
10
done.
on this list, 6 reigns, 529 days. I've been holding that in my back pocket for a long time.
I'm surprised he has not been said yet. I will go with John Cena.
John Cena, number 4 on this list. 12 reigns, 1,240 days.
All right, tell me more names I know.
It's a good question.
Oh, boy, I know Randy Orton, probably just barely over a year.
Randy Orton, he is number 7 on this list. 8 reigns, 609 days.
You know, holy shit, longer than I thought.
I'll go with.
What was they said? They said that he was like the legend killer or the something
Yes.
like that.
Yeah.
I'll go with Triple H.
Triple H, the game that's just that damn good. Number 9, he had 8 reigns for 539 total days.
Oh, boy, how many do we have left?
Oh, I meant to give you an update about 1 turn ago. There are only 3 names left on this list.
Oh, boy.
3 to go. God
Oh,
damn.
boy. I think I've got 2.
Got some guesses. I don't know if they're right, though.
I don't think either one of us said Brock Lesnar yet, have we?
My client has something to say. My client's Brock Lesnar. 8 on the list. 4 reigns, 579 days. There are 2 names left, and they are the 2 shortest reigns on this list.
So one guy at 367. There's a guy out there that had 1 reign for 1 year. It is very close to that 367. There's also another guy, a pretty big star. He had multiple reigns. We have not said who he is yet, but I don't know if he held the title for all that long. I will go with Diesel Kevin Nash as having one reign of 367.
Unfortunately, Diesel is not on this list.
He is not on the list.
Oh man, I should have paid more attention because there's one massive name. I'm pretty sure Kriens already called him, but otherwise that's the winner. Well, all of his title reigns have been really short. Though. I don't think he's man.
There's three guys that I got in my head. Three guys.
Yeah. So if I get it wrong, it's a tie, or what do we do? We go to a tiebreaker, we both get another guess, or what?
A tie or another guess? What do we do? Charlie.
I would say that if you get it wrong, then we will go tiebreaker.
Okay.
We'll do a college football playoff style, where if someone gets it, if you get it wrong and then Kriens gets one right, then you get a chance to match him with the last one.
Okay. So I'll take a flyer at Kurt Angle then.
Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle. That is all. Both your wrong guesses were good, but that is not correct either.
Yeah. Okay. Damn.
I'd have to fucking imagine the Undertaker's been around for 25 years. He's had multiple reigns. They would have to have added up to more than one goddamn year. The Undertaker is my guess.
I would have thought what you thought.
Jesus
the Undertaker
Christ.
is not on this list.
My God.
Oh, man.
So Schottenkirk for the win right now.
Go back and forth. One of us finally stumbles upon a name that is over the year.
I have two left now that I'm thinking. Two to go.
Yeah, I have one giant name, but I know I don't think even in his 6 or 7 reigns that he made it over a year. But I could be wrong. Have we said The Rock yet?
That'd be the one, yeah.
The Rock, if you smell what he's cooking, last 8 reigns, 367 days.
Oh, I knew it was close. Oh, man.
Know your role.
Let's see.
So Schottenkirk's the winner. And then
I would guess Edge as the other one.
that's a good guess, too. It is actually Shawn Michaels. 3 reigns,
Oh, wow.
396 days.
That's disappointing right there.
Yeah, that's a black eye in both of us. We're not getting that.
One reign. There you go. Good question.
Pretty
I like
good.
that question. That was a good question.
This last one, I'm okay if Stacken even wants to get involved
Whoa!
with this one.
Whoa!
There are, if he doesn't want to, I can't force him. But there are a lot of names on this, and there is at least I would imagine there's got to be at least 2 or 3. There's got to be 4 names that at least Stacken's heard of on this list.
You know what? When you guys were going through that list, though, I did recognize John Cena and
Pedro Morales, I'm sure.
Is that one of the baseball players' cousins?
Yes. Giant Gonzalez, the shortstop for the Cubs.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't think of this. If Stacken's been paying attention, you can just use names listed in the first 2 and probably get something from this third one. But the final one, I think this one should be kind of fun. There have been...
It's a 3-way dance! It's a 3-way! Look out!
There have been 28 Royal Rumbles, which means that every Royal Rumble's had a winner. But to win, it means you have to eliminate someone.
Boom! Look at that.
Who was the last person eliminated in each? All right, there have been 24. Well, there have been 25.
Runners up.
Similar to the Undertaker one, there was one time where 2 guys were eliminated simultaneously.
Okay.
Good questions.
I think that one, I will keep them separate, and so you can name either of them. You don't have to name them both to get it, but there are 25 names.
I would say this is the toughest of the 3.
I specifically weighted this one for last. I think this is the most interesting one. Because it's easy to remember who won, but can you remember who the last person to be eliminated was between 1988 and 2015?
Stacking, start us off with a good one here.
John Cena.
John Cena. He is one of 4 guys that has gotten second to first place twice. 2005
How about it?
and 2010.
This instantly ups my credibility with all of you by like
Nope.
1,000%.
Nope.
No.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. If Stacking gets around like 3.
3 or 4. Yeah, if you get a third one, I'll shit myself here and sit in it for a half hour. Dave.
Okay.
Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns in 2014. That is correct.
The Big Show.
The Big Show, the second guy that has been on there, or that it has happened multiple times, in 2000 and 2004.
Stacking.
We'll try Triple H.
Triple H, the third guy that has been eliminated last multiple times in back-to-back years for him, unfortunately, 2008, 2009.
It's tough luck.
Probably a really tough year. He trained all off-season trying to win it the next year and just couldn't get it done.
It's tough luck.
Is it my turn?
Yes.
Undertaker.
The Undertaker, where did I see that? Yes, in 2003.
Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels. Yes, in 2007.
Here's where you can impress us, Stacking. Here's where
All right.
the big boys show up.
Okay, we're gonna try it and say Brock Lesnar.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Brock Lesnar. That is a good guess, but he is not on this list.
Damn it.
But if you're going to get one wrong, you got it wrong swinging. You gave a good guess. That.
If I could throw out a second guess, can I do that or no?
Honestly, I don't care if Kriens and
Go
Shoddy are
ahead.
okay with
Okay,
that.
I would have gone down with Andre the Giant too.
No.
Andre the Giant's not on the list.
Okay.
Also not a bad guess. I think he was to the point he was kind of beat up and crippled by then.
He was too busy making Princess Bride.
That's
Yeah.
Randy Orton.
Randy Orton in 2006. That is correct.
Pretty sure I was being too cute with my third guess here. 'Cause I might have won.
You know, that's the tough thing with trivia. Sometimes you try to get cute and hold on to your backup answer.
Mm-hmm.
I will go with Sid.
On this list, he is named Sid Justice way back in 1992.
Sure.
That is correct.
Stone Cold.
I saw that on here somewhere. Stone Cold Steve
See, that
Austin
was
in
one I was gonna
1999.
You should have went with him, Stacking.
Tried to get too cute.
Too goddamn cute. I will go with Santino Marella.
Santino in 2011. That's the Cobra guy, correct?
Yes.
Yes. The Cobra did not work out for him in the end.
It sounds like a drink.
Bret Hart.
Bret Hart. He is the last person that was eliminated last multiple times in 1994 and 1997.
I will go with John Cena.
John Cena has already been said.
Has it been so? How about that? Goddamn.
And again, I will leave this up to you two to debate of if we're going to
No.
give Kriens longer or no.
Nope. Nope.
Okay, so Schottenkirk for the win right here then.
Might regret it, but I don't think I'm going to send The Rock yet.
The Rock in 1998. That is correct.
What the
That-
hell?
Schottenkirk wins, so we get one where you guys got every single one,
That's
and then
good.
you split the other two.
Good.
Let's see.
No, he won
got
both of them. He won both of them.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry, I said that wrong, and I apologize for that, Schottenkirk.
Oh.
Let's
see here. Lex Luger.
There were 12 left. Yep, Lex Luger was also in '94 with Bret Hart. I guess the thing I saw it from, I guess they eliminated each other at the same time.
Is Earthquake? Did I say Earthquake or?
No one said Earthquake in 1991. That is correct. He's on air.
How about Ted DiBiase?
Ted DiBiase in '89. Mr. Perfect, British Bulldog, Diesel, Kane, Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho.
What year was Angle?
Angle was in 2002.
No, 2.
Ryback, Rusev, and the first one, I'd never even heard of this guy before. The first one, apparently the last guy eliminated, was One Man Gang.
Nice.
One Man Gang, whoever that is.
Yeah, Jimmy Hart and somebody else was 2 people.
Good questions as always. Do we have anybody next week? Want to challenge anybody to a showdown of sorts?
No one's going to take down Schottenkirk.
No, Stack, I'll challenge you to a hockey trivia question.
Oh, fuck, I'm dead.
You're dead.
You're the hockey guy. I don't pay much attention to it.
I pay a lot. I still that doesn't mean I know all like the Russian names and stuff. We could play Senator or Senator.
Jesus Christ.
You know, just an NHL challenge, pretty vague. We'd get all sorts of stuff. I mean, we could come up with like most penalty minutes or something like that.
How about a hockey trivia challenge for all of us? Who's ever here next week? We all go around the horn. One of us will have to come up with the questions, though.
You know what, though? What I could venture and guess here, we could do a stadium challenge, too. Can you name the stadiums where each team plays at?
Well, like you know...
Like, I'm not going to... Like, you can't say Three River Stadium for the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Pirates because they don't play there anymore.
I like it.
You have to do, like, PNC Park for Pittsburgh, for the Pirates.
But like Skydome, do you do Skydome or whatever?
Yeah.
Like Rogers Center. I mean,
I think there could be multiple. Like you wouldn't have to say like the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome.
Okay, but for like the Astros, I mean, what? I mean, the Astros. What do you call that?
I would call it Minute Maid Park, or if you want to say formerly Enron.
Because I don't know what it's called now.
It's see, that's the whole point.
Or the O.Co Coliseum, the Oakland Coliseum.
Or you could just call it the shitter. So
the shitter.
I don't know. We could throw it out. That's not where they played at before. Their current venues.
Or something like that. How about this? A potpourri of questions.
Okay.
Everybody has one or whatever, and everybody plays except the person who asked the questions. Is that good?
Similar to the old TV show, then.
Yes.
I would like to take Schottenkirk head-to-head in like a stadium question, because I think I might have a shot.
I will come up with a question involving stadiums of some sort.
Okay.
For you and Mr. David Schottenkirk. And everybody else can have their questions of whatever the hell for next week.
But I think an NHL one would be good too. So.
Good. We'll leave that up to
the list of who had the most Gordie Howe hat tricks.
Name a player. How about this? Me and Stacken head-to-head. Any wrestler he can name, any hockey player I can name, ever.
That's way too
actually might be kind of interesting.
Way too easy for you.
For me?
For you, yes.
I can name about 5.
You can name. Okay, so you can name like. Okay, I don't want to give them to you, but
yeah, don't start giving them away.
I could give you a half dozen wrestlers. I think maybe.
That's it. You can't
10.
name more than 6 goddamn wrestlers.
Maybe 10 or 12.
You can name 12. Well, just based on today's program with the one-man gang. I mean, come on, the one-man gang.
Yeah, I could do some homework, I suppose.
Do it now. We're doing it now. Not really. No.
I've got one trivia question for you guys if you're interested. One more here.
I'm intrigued. Yes.
All right. So, of the NBA career scoring leaders.
Oh, how many are black? How many are black?
Of the top 90, there are 15 active players that are in the top 90 all-time scoring-wise. Name me one of those 15 guys. There's 3 people, so if we go around the horn and work it perfectly, like 15 of the top 90 are active career scoring-wise in the NBA.
So the 15 active scoring leaders, basically.
Right.
That gets me hard. That gets me hard. Sure.
That's a good one.
Charlie stacking me. I like it.
Okay, I will go with Schottenkirk's boy, Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, number 3 on the list, most active. 32,482 points, Kobe Bryant. Yep.
That's a lot of points.
15 active players, you said?
Yeah, with the most points.
Okay.
So stack and go for it.
LeBron.
Yep.
Oh, you just missed.
25th all-time already, believe it or not. That's quite insane to think about. LeBron James, number 25 on the all-time list. Correct, Travis Rip.
I'm going to push your definition of active with Kevin Garnett right there. Yes.
I'll take it. Active Kevin Garnett, number 18 all-time, right behind Tim Duncan. Shit, give it away.
Tim Duncan, burn
Because we got it eventually. One off the list. My bad.
Yes.
But he is Garnett and Duncan are right by each other, 17-18, separated by 25 points.
Oh, barn burner.
So back to Charlie.
Tim Duncan was going to be the very next one I said. I'm going to go with.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. I'll go with. I'd imagine Carmelo Anthony's got to be on that list.
Yeah, he sure is. Number 39 overall, Carmelo Anthony. Stacking me up.
Oh, I thought I got it wrong with LeBron.
Oh, it's funny.
Kriens was being facetious.
Oh, you're such a liar.
I'm
Okay.
such a jackass. Yes.
Okay, so... Okay, the goal is not to be cute here, so...
The goal is to get one right.
Yeah, yep, that's very true.
Yes.
So...
And look at this, just for... I already screwed up once, I screwed up twice. There's one guy that's listed as active that did not play this year. So
How about this? The last guy on the list, how many points does he have?
Let me see here. Last guy on the list, active-wise, points-wise, just over 17,000.
Okay. I'm going to say Dirk Nowitzki.
Yep. He's quite a ways up there. He's pulled up number 9 overall, Dirk Nowitzki.
Ray Allen.
That's the name that didn't play this year that I just thought of. I'll take it because
That's
probably...
the one
He may come back.
I was gonna put that in my back pocket. The next one.
We'll count him, Ray Allen. Good enough for me.
Good.
I'm just trying to think of old guys who used to not be old guys that were really good and are still playing in advanced NBA years of age.
That's pretty much where your head's got to be.
You know, and I'm to the point these guys might not be right, but they're at least solid guesses and swings for the fence. I will say that Paul Pierce is on the list.
God damn you. Damn.
Sure is. Paul Pierce, believe it or not, number 19, right behind KG and Duncan, like we talked about earlier. Only 50 career points behind Mr. Kevin Garnett, 19 overall for Paul Pierce.
Okay.
One of the most historically underrated players in history, in my opinion.
Main reason why I picked the Wizards to beat the Raptors in this series is because of Paul Pierce. I will go with Carmelo Anthony.
Oh!
Pretty sure that was said already.
Oh, was it? Oh, fuck. Damn.
We'll give you one review since I've given Travis, Ray Allen, and whatnot. So. There's one gigantic name, and there's a lot of obviously all active. There's some guys that are not as old as you would think either.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Kevin Durant. I don't think he's quite reached that far yet.
Kevin Durant quite not that far yet. I'm sure he'll be there someday, but not right now.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
he's for the record, he's 125 on the list.
Okay.
I'll say Dwayne Wade is the massive name on the list.
That's one of the massive names. He's 58th overall, Dwayne Wade. Yep, just shy of 19,000 points.
Oh, we got 6 left, 7 left.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left.
I'm trying to run through names in my head. Let's see.
Damn it, I think I have one.
I'm not coming up with a whole bunch of stuff, so to keep this from turning into the 20 minutes of silent time, I'll come up with someone quickly that probably won't be a great guess. I'll say, I'll say Pau Gasol.
Pau Gasol, yes, sir, number 66 on the list.
That's a good answer.
One massive name left, and then 4 guys that are, well, of the remaining guys, there's probably 2 Hall of Famers on this list. One surefire and one probably.
Dwight Howard?
Dwight Howard, not on the list. Good guess. He's, if I could find him real quick, I'm assuming he's right outside the top 100, but not one of the answers.
Charlie wins that one.
Dwight Howard is 146 on the list for the record. So Charlie got it. The other names I was looking for: Tony Parker, number 90, 17, just about over 17,000. Sean Marion, 75th on the list.
Sean fucking Marion.
Yeah. Jason Terry at 67. Another one that obscure. Joe Johnson, 65th.
Jesus Christ.
And then the big name I do not recall getting said was at number 30, the one, the only, Vince Carter.
Vince.
Oh, man. How did I forget about Vince Carter?
Yeah. So
Did he
my
play on
2
the
Hall of
Mavericks this year?
No, he's on the Grizzlies too. He's with Tayshaun.
Insanity.
The 2 oldest guys.
Probably post Michael Jordan, like most kids of our generation. After Jordan retired, pretty quickly Vince Carter became my favorite NBA player.
It was either him or Scalabrine, one of the 2. Well, some good questions. I'll be in charge of a stadium question, 1 or 2, for Stacking and David, and then everybody else can come up with 1, whoever's here. And if we don't use them next week, we'll use them some week down the line. So if we don't get to them, we'll get to them at some point. So, a few more things to touch on here. NBA, they've agreed to HGH testing starting next season. 1 in the off season. I hope that includes this off season, as well as 2 tests in season. That's 3 total. Is this a big deal, David?
I think it is, depending on if it's true and is as good as I think it might be as far as the rigorous and the randomness. People aren't going to have any idea with the blood testing. There's no way to get around it. It's a good idea, and I hope if it works, the NFL takes heed and learns by it, because in the long run, it'll be a good thing for the sport, even though the short-term ramifications might be mind-blowing. So.
Should we take up HGH testing on this show?
Absolutely.
Does that make you?
You mean I've been clean all these years when I didn't have to be because we weren't actually testing?
We tested once to get on the show. We tested once to get on the show, and then we didn't test ever again. So.
I got my suspicions on Traxxer. I'll tell you why.
Because he doesn't have any hair on his face. I don't think so. He's on what? He's on some of the estrogen. What is he on?
Well, maybe. I won't go quite that far, but it's suspicious, anyways.
Well, what do you got here? What do you got here? Any reasons?
Same for another day. I don't want to bash him too much. He's enjoying his brother's confirmation. It was this morning. So
is that what it is? Is that what it is? By golly.
Yeah, he's in enough pain already going through that. So.
Good. I don't know if you heard about this, Stacking.
Yeah.
But Kris Bryant, third baseman, Cubs, he got called up. People were
went over 4 with 3 strikeouts in his debut. That was quite impressive.
Second day better than the first?
Best stat I saw all about that was that now Kris Bryant and Tony Gwynn both have the same number of 3 strikeout games.
Tony Gwynn's stats are some of the best stats since he did well, and he did well for a long, long time. So Kris Bryant, power hitter, led all of baseball, I believe. He led any level of baseball in home runs last year, major, minor, or independent leagues. So he's called up now for good. Contract disputes with him and the Cubs, with them sending him down for the first 2 weeks of the Major League season to get another year of control later on down the line. Does anybody have a problem with that? Charlie?
I don't. I know, I can see why Kris Bryant and certainly why his agent don't like it, but I don't have any problem with doing it, especially. The only thing I didn't get is I was surprised that some Cubs fans were so angry about it. I'd be like, oh, you going to keep your favorite player? Well, assuming he'll be good. He might not be. But to keep a guy for an extra year, that's something that I think like anyone would do, and from what I understand happens all the time. The only weird thing is that this was more publicized than normal. But I don't have any problem with it.
Stacking.
I think it's a little dirty on the Cubs' part because they don't want. I mean, they're going to get him for another year, and it's not going to cost them all that much. I see it from Chris and what's his
Scott Boras.
Scott Boras, yeah. I see from their point where they want to get a bigger payday faster, but at the same time, the Cubs are well within the right. It's a strategic move on their part for the future to build that winning team. And I see where they're coming from. It is a little dirty, but if it's well within the rules, why not do it on their point?
Yeah, I would say, I believe the Marlins did this with Jose Fernandez, but did it the wrong way, in which they had him pitch like 1 or 2 starts, and that cost them a year of control, which is a very Marlins thing to do, very stupid. And, you get this guy for another year under control, and he misses 10 games. That is a no-brainer. So all the hubbub about the Cubs sending him down, no, they did the right thing here. You do that.
It is, but don't you think it's a little dirty, too?
No, those are the rules. That's if you have to.
I'm saying, though, does the rule have to change?
I don't know. I don't know enough about the rule to say if it's a certain time period based on when you were drafted or what it's based on. I'm assuming it's like this time of the year since like the first couple weeks of the season, a calendar year of some sorts turns over to where he has, I don't know, maybe he has to start in the minor leagues for a few games for it to go into effect. So.
I know, for me to think it was dirty, it would have to be like, because it was 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, if it was like a half a season, that'd be too much.
If it was like 2 months, and then especially if like he couldn't play at any level and he just had to sit there, then I think maybe it's a little bit dirty. But in the way it is right now, I don't think it is.
But they knew he was.
I think it's unusual, and I would say it's probably a loophole, but.
They knew he was ready, though, at the beginning of the season, that he was going to come up. I mean, he would have made the opening day roster. This was just a way for them to get another guaranteed year on his contract. That's the dirty part to me in this. It's not like they sent him down to get a little better. He was already major league ready.
Maybe.
Well, I don't know. After that first game, it looks like he probably could have used a little more tuning up, maybe.
Well, he has a lot of hype about him, and he's playing for a cursed organization, so...
But I don't know. They have so many complicated rules with rosters and in the different sports and how you do things. But I mean, like in the NFL, if like the Packers could get an extra year automatically out of Aaron Rodgers, and all they had to do was not start him the first 2 weeks of the season, and they do that every single year.
Yeah. And it may have been a case where he probably should have been up late last year if it wasn't for this deal here. So. But, you lose him for 10, 12 games, no big deal. So he'll be up there later. Some UFC last night, Zach, and I know you watched the UFC.
Yep.
Down on the UFC lately, I am, but I paid attention to this because there were some names I wanted to see, and this was fairly entertaining card. Luke Rockhold beat the shit out of Ryota Machida. Shattenkirk, I guess Rockhold was a slight favorite, and if I had to pick, I probably would have picked him very close. But were you surprised of the domination of this fight here?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you, if I would have and had to pick, I would have went with him probably in a decision. But from really the 2 or 3 minutes into the first round until he finished them halfway through the second, it was complete domination. Rockhold's a guy that's been steadily improving. I really, wasn't quite sure a couple years ago some of his fights or whatever, but obviously he's gotten better. The last 4 fights he's finished ever since going back to that Vitor Belfort loss, his last loss, 2 years ago now. Very, very impressive and very surprising to me how easy he made it look last night. Good for him.
Jacare Souza also won on a replacement. Chris Carmazzi taking a fight on 6 days' notice, so no surprise that was finished early. Between the two, who gets the next chance at middleweight between Rockhold and Jacare Souza after this next title fight?
Oh man, that's an interesting question. I don't know if you saw any of the post-fight stuff.
Yes.
They had Weidman and they had Rockhold and DC all at the commentating table, and they were having some fun. But I think, hard for me to go anything against Souza, but Rockhold, just the way the matches are made right now, I want to see Rockhold get that fight.
If he beat a better guy, had a better opponent, no fault of Jacare Souza's opponent getting injured. Joel Romero, I would have loved to have seen that fight. I would love to have seen that fight. Maybe we'll see it here in a few months. But he mentioned Madison Square Garden. I got to get a bill signed yet. I believe that New York's the last state that does not sanction mixed martial arts. You would expect a progressive state like South Dakota to be the last, but no, it's New York. So
the interesting factor on that is that Dana said last night has been kind of posing this idea of recently that they have a date in New York City. They're just waiting on everything to get through, and they have a date for December at Madison Square Garden. So that could lead to some pretty big problems if they don't get anything done here in a few months.
Yeah, I would say this fight happens early December, likely there if it gets passed. Maybe have Ronda Rousey. She fights in August. You put her on there as well. I would assume the first fight in New York and in Madison Square Garden would be a very, very big card. You want to stack that one to the gills. So
yeah, if it happens, John Jones, assuming he wins his title fight here in a little while, he'll have to be on that card in December too if it comes through.
You also had Paige Van Zandt, women's strawweight. This was Felice Herrig, decent fighter, but this was impressive as well for a 21-year-old. She won't reach that Ronda Rousey level, but I think she'll be the next couple steps under that. Do you expect big things here for Paige Van Zandt? Will she be big enough to where Stacken knows who she is in a couple years?
I hope so, for our sake, for the UFC's sake. I think there's all the potential in the world, and this is the first fight that I saw every single second of. I saw obviously the highest of the last internet UFC debut last fall, but I watched all of that last night, and she just destroyed who she was in there with, and I think it was 30-26 on 2 cards, which says a lot. Obviously they get to finish, but was in control from opening bell to the closing bell. But 21 years old. She looks the part. She looks 12 for that matter. But like I said last night, if I saw her in an alley, I'd be going the other way in a quick hurry.
The pay-per-view next week, historically awful. Nobody cares. UFC 187, Jones and Anthony Johnson. Anthony Johnson, since moving up to light heavyweight, has looked great. You also have Weidman and Belfort. Belfort, see if you can pass a drug test here. That'd be good. You also got Cowboy Cerrone versus Nurmagomedov. So this, 3 very good fights. You also got Arlovsky and Travis Brown, the bag of bones known as Andrei Arlovsky. So this card in May, that's looking very good. Champions, do they retain here in May?
I think so. I think Rumble's going to give Jones a war, so to say, but I think Jones, technically on the ground, if they go to the ground, I think Jones is too too good for them there. I'll take Jones by submission, and I'll take Weidman decision.
And then the big July 4th, actually July 11th pay-per-view. Jose Aldo, great fighter, top 5, top 3 in the world. Not a draw, but this Conor McGregor, he's drumming up enough interest to where this is going to be a big time fight. We're still a couple months away here, but speculation is this could break 100 or this could break 1 million buys on pay-per-view. Would you go that far 2 months out to say that Conor McGregor will have a $100 or a $1 million pay-per-view under his belt here? A 1 million buy pay-per-view.
I think it's got a very good potential. You got kind of the perfect storm. You've got Ireland, very rabid fan base. You've got Brazil. You've got this whole press tour they got off a few weeks ago, went all around the world on it. There's interest everywhere they went. Part of that is because the rest of the card's pretty good too. You get another top on the card, Lawler and Donald. Announced so far, there's some other few names. Dennis Ramirez is on the card. But although in his absolute prime right now hasn't lost 10 years versus Conor, the biggest thing, Ireland's favorite son, I think it's going to be a very big number. And I don't think, as far as the fight goes, I think Aldo kicks his ass. That's for a later date.
I know Marcus, he's big into this Conor McGregor. He's big time into him. So.
Yeah, he sure is. We're talking about. I said something about that press tour a few weeks ago that they were on. I said the last stop of this press tour. And he shot right back. Oh, the fight's this weekend. No, you gotta wait till July.
No.
He was kind of disappointed.
We'll make him wait. We mentioned this last week. Yeah.
Now go ahead.
We mentioned this last week. Stacking did some hard work here. Put together a bracket of this year's NCAA Tournament. It can be found on the little thing on the right there. On the chat we have here. You use the teams in this year's tournament.
Yep.
And put them more based on region, so you don't have shit like Wisconsin in the West. You have it based on regions like it used to be when UCLA was doing their thing.
That's how this whole thing kind of got going.
Yeah, because we looked at UCLA and noticed that they only had to win 2 games to reach the Final Four. You had 20 some odd teams in the deal.
And they had to play Pacific
and teams out west. Take us through this bracket here. What regions are very good? Would you expect certain regions to vary based on year? Also, the third part to the 7-part question is Texas, certain regions of the country, west, southeast, midwest. How do you decide?
This year, without a doubt, the most difficult and the best region would be the Midwest. You have Wisconsin as the 1 seed. They'd take on North Dakota State, a 16 seed. I put Kansas as the 2 seed. I kind of looked at where the teams finished. Did they win their conference tournament? The losses that they had, just like the tournament committee would look at RPI and everything. I just felt that Kansas was the second best. Put Notre Dame in the Midwest as well. Iowa State is 4. But then you get down like Indiana, Purdue. They'd be one of the play-in games. They're a 13 seed. I have Cincinnati as a 14 seed. I mean, it was difficult to seed them all because Cincinnati was a 9 seed overall. But if you were just to regionalize it, arguably they're the 14th or 15th best team in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
I think the East is by far the easiest. You have Villanova as the 1 seed there. You have your Lafayette and your who the hell else did I have in there? I'm scrolling down here. But then you have like Manhattan as a 14 seed, and they were in the play-in game. So it's interesting to see how everything would break out. I would say that the Midwest would be most prone for some upsets. I think the area that I think a lot of people would have issue with is in the South, where I have Kentucky as the 1 and I put Duke as the 2 seed. Main reason for doing that, of course, Kentucky is the number 1 overall team in the country. Duke did lose in the semifinals in the ACC tournament. So they had 4 more losses. there's talk you could put them in the East, but I could try and break it graphically or geographically down. Texas, they're most likely going to be either in the South or the West. It depends on how many teams are in from the West in a certain year. I would look at Ohio and Kentucky as those two other states that really are difficult depending on how many teams are in the Midwest a certain year. The South, they're going to be based on that. Because I put Louisville in the Midwest. They are further north than Lexington. So that was the determining factor there in deciding where Louisville went and Kentucky.
Depending on the year, could North Dakota State or South Dakota State Midwest team, could they end up out west?
Possibly. I do. When I think Midwest, I do put the Dakotas in that, and then anything further west of that would be considered west. But in a difficult year, yes, I would put them in the west. Oklahoma too. That's another state that's difficult to peg. I'd put them in the west this year, but they could be in the south. Hell, on an obscure year, they could maybe even be in the Midwest. Because they're central. I mean, that's as far south Midwest as I could possibly get. But I could see them. I could see us putting them in that. It's incredibly difficult to. And I tried to do it too, based on the playing games. Like if you played if you played on Tuesday in the playing games, then you would obviously play Thursday. Wednesday you'd play Friday, and I had two games feature conference tournament winners for at-large seeds. So I'll let you guys sit and digest this a little bit, but I just think it's interesting to see how it would play out. I do think that the Midwest would feature the most upsets, and then most of the other regions I would anticipate would go pretty chalk.
Looking at this, using this year's teams, another idea would just be to go through the whole thing, and you would have to, I guess, to do my idea of doing all teams based on geography, just not teams in the tournament this year. You'd have to kind of you'd have to make that decision. Where is Duke at? Where is Virginia? Where are they at first, and then do it that way. So
my thought would be that North Carolina is always going to be in the South.
Mm-hmm.
I think the states like Kentucky, Ohio, Texas, and Oklahoma, those are the most difficult ones to peg and can probably flip-flop any year.
And this would be a case where a team like Boise State, who did not make the tournament, would probably make it in the West.
Yep. Well, if we were to have done that this year, like to take a couple of teams out, I wouldn't have put in UCLA or Texas. I would have picked Colorado State to make it, and I would have had Murray State.
Colorado, Boise State.
And that would have switched things up a little bit. You would have had probably another team from the
also,
South.
As bad as the Northeast is, a team like Temple. Well, I don't know if I mentioned Temple before.
Yeah, you have.
Temple. I have. Okay, I think Temple probably may get in there as well. So.
Yes. Yep. They certainly could. But a lot of these, especially in the East bracket, the East region, they're teams that have guaranteed spots. These are the smaller conferences, so there wasn't a lot of at-large potential.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see how many where the conferences lie in, and how many at-large bids are available versus automatically. Maybe there's 8 conferences in a certain region where they're always going to have 8 automatic bids.
Right. Yeah, and it just is completely dependent on how teams are from any given year. Because I think Tennessee is going to be a playoff or make it to the tournament next year. I really like Rick Barnes, and I think he'll do wonders for that Tennessee program. I think Tennessee is going to make it next year, so they'd be pushed into the South, of course, and it's all just completely dependent. So I looked at it based on just the teams that are in it this year, but we could do it next year too, where you would say, hey, these teams are on the bubble, but we think they'll get in over here, and play it regionally based on that.
I like the way they do it now, so you can get, basically the best team playing the 8th best team, the worst 2 seed playing the best 1 seed, all that. Yep. David, doing it based on geography, pluses and minuses of doing it that way.
Just looking through what he's got here, there's some things that I really like and some things I really don't like. can appreciate the amount of effort I'm sure you went through to get all this as good and as logical as you could get it. Stacking, I don't think there's anything super flawed with this, other than the fact that some of these matchups, regionally and geography-wise, you're doing it that way fine, but there are the seeding is what I have the bigger issue with, because say a 10 seed in the West, are they a true 10? If they went East, would they be a 12 or 13?
Yeah. And
that's part of the beauty of when you can go a Wyoming gets sent East, per se, just in a hypothetical situation, and be closer to what there truly should be as a national seed. I think that's the one thing that I have a potential. And obviously, I know doing this, you said forget that and went just strictly geography. I totally get that. Yeah. I like what you're doing, but I think that will, in a lot of years, there would be teams that would get a lower seed that would have a big gripe that if it would have been in a different region, they would have had a better matchup or whatever.
Completely agree with you, because in the West, I have Wyoming as a 10 seed, and they're nowhere near even close to a 10 seed on any other year. I mean, Duke being a 2 seed in the South that you'd have to go up against Kentucky. I mean, that's completely unfair. They'd have a major gripe with that. I was just strictly looking at trying to base teams if we would do the region-wise or geographic.
What it would look like.
What it would look like. And, I mean, there would be some teams, too, because I think you have a couple of 8 or 9 seeds playing close in Columbus. I mean, like a Cincinnati or a Xavier. I mean, the team I'm trying to look and bring that.
Cincinnati's a 14. That's way too late. They'd play Notre Dame. I mean, and you mentioned them. They were an 8-9 seed in the tournament. Right. Louisville as a 7. I think they're a little better than a 7. So.
Yep. Yeah. But like I have Michigan State against Xavier in Columbus. I mean, if Xavier were to win that, that's a virtual. You don't have to travel that far from Cincinnati up to Columbus, and they would have a distinct home crowd advantage over the folks from Wisconsin. So there are a lot of flaws to this and how it would all pan out. But I was trying to get them as close to regionalized as possible.
Right.
It is difficult. I'm not saying that the NCAA should do it, but I just thought it'd be interesting to look and see if you were to do this like UCLA did or was able to do back in the 70s, just how it would all look.
For what you were trying to do, you did a great job. And if the NCAA was super, super worried about certain region sites like they are some years, you got teams coming from way out west, Jacksonville regional like happened this year, and the attendance wasn't very good. This, having it just strictly geography-wise, you'd have a lot more fan bases that could travel to these games and have the NCAA tournament, the crowd. The actual in-stadium crowd is incredibly tame to whatever watched on TV is, because sometimes you got 2 teams in the same region that are 2,000 miles away, and sure, 1,000 other fans show up, but it's a bunch of guys who just bought tickets and they really don't have any rooting interest at all, or they just want to see the lower seeded team win. Kentucky always staying home, Louisville always staying around home, whatever, and it's strictly just based off geography. The attendance-wise, the NCAA would love the amount of money, the increase in money they make off this idea.
And they're doing that on the women's side too. I mean, that's what you see with a lot of the 1 seeds getting home court and stuff, and then they try and bring in somewhat lower seeded teams in there to help out with it. I mean, Gonzaga this year, they had to play in the Corvallis region the game in rounds 1 and 2 when they ultimately beat Oregon State. But the drive from Spokane to Corvallis isn't nearly that long, so they were able to bring some fans in on the women's side, in addition to Oregon State hosting. So I know they're doing that on the women's side, and it's completely separate. That's apples to oranges. But for this, I just thought it'd be interesting to see how it would look. And I'll do it again next year, too. I'll try and do 2 of them based on teams that should be in, and then they do 1 with the teams that are actually in, because I just think it's interesting to see how you would seed them and do everything there, because it's no easy or small task at all.
The more of them you do, the more trends you can find.
Yep.
I know, and then just a couple points, like David said, certainly this would take a lot of time to do, and I can understand that it would take a lot of time, so kudos to you for doing that. And then just a couple of points. I mean, it's kind of been mentioned earlier that depending on your region, you could be you could be a team that would be like a 4 seed in most regions that you get a 1 or a 2 seed somewhere else and you could get an easier run to the Final Four. Or you could be a team that's really good and it'd be a 1 or a 2 in most regions, and then instead you're a 4, and you have a great 4-year run where you'd probably make 2 or 3 Final Fours, but you don't make any because you run into the wrong team. Right. But and then so like it's been said, I think I'm glad they do it the way they do as opposed to this way like they used to. But there's one thing that would be fantastic about it is if essentially like you guys were saying earlier, if you just said, you know, all things similar, this school is going to be in this region almost always no matter what, is you could create amazing tournament-only rivalry games where teams would rarely play, you know, not teams that aren't in the same conference that don't play in the regular season that all of a sudden just end up meeting in the tournament every year, where you could have something like every year, you know, for 5 out of 8 years, Kentucky and North Carolina can play in the Elite Eight to go to the Final Four. And something like that, I think, would be fantastic.
Yep. Oh, it would. I think by regionalizing it, I think there would be a lot more excitement built up in the matchups. But then again, like you said, it would be a little bit more difficult to make it to a Final Four. But maybe that's cool too. I mean, Duke and North Carolina or like Duke and Kentucky in this year's tournament, like I have, just to get to the Final Four, that would be an incredible Elite Eight game, and you would see a lot of high ratings, I think, for that one. Just looking at the sites next year, you have Providence, Des Moines, Raleigh, Denver, Brooklyn, St. Louis, Oklahoma City, and Spokane. I mean, you have a lot more kind of Western cities or Midwest next year. So I think the regional matchups next year, when I look through this and try and do it again, those are going to be a far more difficult and challenging task to get teams over there because there's going to be more travel involved.
Brooklyn's a site next year?
Brooklyn is a site. Providence is a site. So those are your 2 big matchups, or 2 big sites in the East. Your South looks like arguably Raleigh and Oklahoma City. Your Midwest would be Des Moines and St. Louis, and the West would be Denver and Spokane.
With it being in Brooklyn, what are the chances that Crime Time will be at the game? You can use that.
Good.
You can use that for your wrestling trivia next week. Crime Time as a tag team. Black gentlemen. So good job out of stacking. Looking to see what it would look like, and like Charlie said, I don't believe Carolina and Duke have ever met in the tournament. And if this were, you know, they're in the same region, that would happen at some point. So that would be very good.
I feel like the way it's set up now, like it's pretty consistent. Like even the bad years, it doesn't move as much. Where in the way they used to do it and how Stacking would do it, there would be years that it'd be worse, but there would be years where it would just be like 2 weeks into the season, it'd be like, well, I know that Kentucky and Duke are going to play in the Elite Eight, and they're going to be in the same region ahead of time, and I'm already stoked for that matchup. So you could potentially, I think it's something where there'd be a higher ceiling but a much lower floor.
And there may be years too where Arizona's not that good out in the West, and there's not a definitive #1 overall team in the West. So who would you put there? You know, maybe that's when you would move Kansas to the West, or
the Gauchos. You put the Gauchos out there.
Yeah. Yeah, the UCSB. Let's go Gauchos.
Go Gauchos. And, I mean, baseball does the deal where a team hosts the regional, so it's like women's basketball in that sense.
Yep.
And South Dakota State went out to Oregon State. So they kind of do it like the women. They base it on the regions in the first round, and maybe that's an idea for men's basketball. They would never do it, but only have the first 2 rounds be based on regions, and then after that it's just however you would lay out the bracket. You know, the super regionals, best out of 3, and then the best out of the 8-team tournament and double elimination in Omaha. So tournaments, we like tournaments and brackets and things like that. So next week, the last show I believe, of the month of April. It saddens me to report that the NFL draft is in 11 days. We usually cover this quite extensively. I suppose we'll do a mock draft of sorts next week.
Hell yeah, we will.
So we'll see who is here, assuming we have everybody that is here now, plus Traxler. That is 5. We'll decide an order of sorts so you can get something prepared.
I would like to, if we're going to do that, I desperately want the 3rd pick so I can pick my Jays.
You will have the 3rd pick. You can pick for Jacksonville. You can take your USC guy if he's there.
Oh man, how stoked would Schottenkirk be if Leonard Williams went to the Jags?
It would be the perfect first pick in my reign as a diehard Jaguars fan.
Adrian Peterson has interest from the Raiders, so that going to Minnesota.
It's not happening.
I know, but the Raiders do have interest in him.
Hey, Stack. I guarantee Adrian Peterson will play for the Vikings this fall. Mark it down. He's not going anywhere.
It's no good.
He's not going anywhere.
I was just talking with Kriens though yesterday, and if the Raiders would pull off a Raider-like decision to trade for Adrian Peterson and give the Vikings the 5th overall pick, I would like to see them, or 4th. I'm sorry, they have the 4th. I'd like to see them take a wide receiver, probably White from West Virginia, take the cornerback from Michigan State. Was it Trey Williams or
Trey Wayne?
Sorry, and then trade back into the 1st round at like pick 24 or 25 and take Todd Gurley. That would be a draft.
That's a pipe dream.
I know it is. I know, but I've seen the Vikings do it. That ultimately, if Adrian Peterson were to get traded, that's how I would want it all to play out.
I totally hear you, but I'll tell you right now, the Vikings will have one and only one 1st-round pick this year. They're not because 2 or 3 years.
Straight up.
2 or 3 years in a row of doing what they've done. Good for them. It's worked out. There's no way they can pull it off again this year. And if
listen, I completely agree. I'm playing strict hypothetical here and strictly piping. I do not expect that to happen. I do think it's going to be a battle, though. I think it's Parker or Wayne at this point for him. I don't think they're going offensive line. They want cornerback help, so I assume they'll take the kid out of Michigan State if he's available. Otherwise, I would assume Parker or Cooper if either of them are available at 11.
All I know is that nothing shocks me more whenever people talk about Adrian Peterson being traded for a 1st-round draft pick. If you're one of the 31 other NFL teams, I don't know why you'd give away a 1st-round draft pick for a 30-year-old running back in 2015. If it was 1981, it'd make sense.
I don't know if they would trade for a fetus Peterson in 81. I'm not sure. That's a risky move. Would you give away your 1st-round pick in 1981 for a running back in 2006? Risky move? Long-term future? Risky?
I don't know. We could have a whole game-changing situation on our hands here, though.
What if he pans out?
Drafting the rights to someone for 20 years later.
I saw I got Sports Illustrated this week. The Colts general manager, whoever the hell he is, had a quote in there saying, "Your cousin Grayson, Billy Johnson Grayson." He said there was a quote that he would do that Trent Richardson trade again 100% of the time. I was like, "You say that, you're a stupid son of a bitch." At the time,
the Colts general manager said that he would do it all over again, trading for Trent Richardson
every single time.
He should have been fired, like, immediately after he said that.
What had happened, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, we all thought Cleveland was stupid for trading, like, their 4th, like the 4th overall pick, whatever it was, for a 1st-round pick in the, 20s, high teens, a few years later. And then it turned around that Trent Richardson sucks, and then they picked Manziel with the pick, so both teams... it did not work out well for both teams. We'll see how that trade pans out and see if either Manziel or Richardson are good ever again. But for him to say that I would have done that again, I do not believe him. And if you say shit like that, and I know you're lying, I do not like you. So.
Speaking of the Browns, awesome-looking uniforms they unveiled.
I'm okay with them. I like them. I liked them before. I like orange. I like it after.
That's because you like Clemson. That's the only reason you like orange.
I like LSU. I like purple and yellow.
Gotcha.
Word on the street is I might wear a Clemson hat next week. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Well, I guess I'm okay with it. I guess people
A lot of
didn't.
people don't like them, though.
Like they're. It's a brighter orange. There's more orange. What do people not like? They're the same colors. Just Charlie, what do you have a big, strong opinion one way or the other on Cleveland's football team's uniforms?
I mean, not really. I don't think they're great. I don't think they're bad, though. I mean, I get that they've looked pretty similar for many years, and they don't want to change that a whole lot. Kind of the Penn State way to look at things. I don't really care either way in terms of uniforms for the Browns. All I know is that the San Diego Chargers should wear those powder blue ones every week, no matter what, whether they're on the home or whether they're playing at home or on the road.
Those orange Browns uniforms kind of look like the orange Denver uniforms.
Sort of. And you know what? If somehow they help Cleveland, I mean, Denver changed their uniforms like 20 years ago and won a Super Bowl. Tampa Bay changed theirs dramatically and went from one of the worst teams to being a perennial playoff contender. Maybe this slight tweak will help the Browns out.
The Twins add the little gold outline to their hats and fonts and letters, and they are about to complete a 4-2 week. Let's hear it for your third place Minnesota Twins, everybody. Third place. At 5-7, if they can hold on to a 3-run lead in the third inning, which is very unlikely at this point. So, NFL draft next week. Everybody will have a team. This shouldn't take more than 35 minutes. We'll go through that pretty quick. I'm not real excited about the draft. I don't know why. Stacking, is your draft hardness not so hard as it should be?
No, it's really not that high. After couple things I want to see. The first round I think is always interesting. I want to see who the Vikings get, see if they can trade up, maybe see which star players that they project in the first round don't get drafted and are there for the taking on day 2 in the second round. And then the big thing this year, I want to see where Zach Zenner gets drafted, and I believe he will get drafted. I just don't know where. But I'm going to cheer for whichever team drafts him, whether it be the Vikings or whoever, but they will be my second favorite team as long as Zenner's on that team.
I got to bring this up since Charlie and Travis have saw me hash this out a few times. Stagg, have you heard that in the NFL, Zenner's projected to translate as a fullback or not?
Yes, I have.
What do you think?
I don't necessarily... Yeah, I guess it could be like a Larry Sanders, but I don't know.
Whoa! Let's not start at the top now and work our way down.
If only.
Whoa!
You know what? It'd be fantastic if Zenner could become one of the greatest fullbacks.
Oh, Jerome Felton type guy. There's not very many fullbacks in the NFL left.
Don't beat your kids. That's all I ask. Don't beat your kids.
If Austin Sumner could become a Tom Brady.
Yes.
I have heard that they are looking at him at the fullback level. I don't know if I quite agree with it, but I think he would be. I'd say he'd be better than a Jacob Hester.
Well, and Hester's been in the league for 8 or 9 years, so that'd be pretty good presenter.
I'll play the race card here. You got a couple of Mo Valley running backs. Crockett, he just got picked up here by the police an hour ago in Fargo. He'll get drafted. You got the guy from Northern Iowa. He might go as high as the 3rd round. Zenner, any difference between these 3 guys? One of them's white, and one of them may not get drafted. Speed. What's Zenner got? A 4.5? Crockett's a big guy.
There's a little bit of a tangible difference between the fact that with David Johnson kid from UNI, his ability to catch the ball in the backfield, I think he's a little bit faster than Zenner, and Zenner's put up more numbers, but he's also had a shit ton more carries, if I'm not mistaken, than Johnson did. Crockett's been productive, and he could be projected as some sort of return guy if they need him. So he's got benefit there. with Zenner fullback, I think part of that is because there's a lot of teams projecting as a fullback because they think that Zenner could be a special teams ace of sorts. And I think that's where he makes his. I think that's where he makes his living. To be honest with you, I don't see him getting. At best, he's probably a third down back for somebody. Running back.
It's interesting to hear that fullback talk though, because I'm just trying to think back, and I don't even remember him being in that sort of position where he'd have to block, of course, for another running because he was always getting the ball. But even pass protection too, he would do it occasionally, but otherwise he's going to go more out on those swing passes, maybe do a little chip and then go out. So that whole thought process of him switching to fullback, that is intriguing to me. But I think he has. I mean, he's wowing, I think, a lot of people with his just his character. And character doesn't get you in the NFL, without talent. But I think he will be willing to do whatever teams ask for him, and that sort of versatility will make him a pretty high commodity.
He better be willing to do whatever they ask if he wants to make a roster.
Right, but some guys are like, Tim Tebow, he was only a quarterback. He wasn't thinking about moving the halfback or tight end or whatever. And he's like, no, I'm a quarterback, and he hasn't been in the league at all. So, I mean, there are guys who when it comes draft time, say, you would be better at this position, and say, no, fuck yourself. I'm going to be at the position that I played at throughout my college career.
As Charlie mentioned, the one thing the NFL does not do well is adapt. You adapt to them. They do not change for you. Why? Because they're fucking stupid. That's why. So there. David Johnson, sure. John Crockett, absolutely not. Garbage. Zenner did better than he did in every category except that all-important 20-yard shuttle. So if I'm ranking the 2, 3, Johnson for sure, Zenner 3, John Crockett get bent. So we'll talk.
Pointed out, Crockett is not being arrested in Fargo. Let's just point it out there so we don't have people.
I can't. It's unfair to assume either way. I cannot say.
Can you prove that that's not him stacking?
No, but do you want me to find his whereabouts right now?
Yes. Go. We'll wait for you.
Yeah, pick up your computer and just start running around the police station in Fargo.
He's probably at Sandy's Donuts right now.
Sandy's Donuts, keeping it local. It's if I put in John Crockett arrested Fargo, what comes up?
I have no idea. I'm not going to venture a guess.
Nothing. That's what comes up.
There you go.
Google yielded 0 results. It says that you should spend your quality time better.
I'm very disappointed I found nothing on his rap sheet. So we'll look into that more next week. John Crockett, his history as a probably.
Speaking of John's,
so essentially,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, so essentially we're the NFL scouts that are literally going way out of our way looking for flaws on this NDSU guys game now. And I'm okay with that. I don't have any problem with that at all.
Not any bias whatsoever. By the way, on Twitter I'm seeing a replay of John Lester throwing his glove with the ball in it to first base to get a Padre out. He did it. The ball did not leave. Excellent job by Lester.
I'm surprised that did not go in the third row.
Well, he has I don't think he can throw a glove into the third row. I don't know if he has that sort of strength.
Yips, he's got the yips. Interesting.
Winding down here, we have to mention the baseball challenge because there's one of us that isn't here today that is 9 outs away from going 7-0 this week.
Whoa!
And he deserves a round of applause. I hope against hope that this team blows their lead. I've got to up by 4 right now. But Marcus Traxler is 9 outs away from a 7-0 week with the New York Mets. So good for him.
Good week.
I was going to pick them, and it was between them and the Royals this week, and I'm kicking myself for it.
You picked the wrong team. I have got the Kansas City Royals next week. I believe Charlie had them this week. Again, the Twins, the Schottenkirk, after this golf challenge, they have been connected at the hip bone. They have yet again picked the same team this week, unknowingly to them, I guess. They both picked the Rockies, so you have until whenever the hell the first game tomorrow starts, 10 a.m., I believe Boston plays probably Baltimore in
Yes.
a 10 a.m. game because we have to play that early because they have runners doing the marathon, and it's Patriots Day, which I give zero shits about. So get those picks in now or to Mr. Traxler by the end of the day. And Mark is currently, if they win, it would be 10-4. And I have the Padres, who are losing right now. I would be 5-7. Charlie's currently 5-7. David is 5-7. Traxler's brother/dad, 5-7. And poor ass Drew Amon about to fall down to 3-10. Picking the Toronto Blue Jays. That's what happens when you pick shitty teams like the fucking Blue Jays. So, and Nathan Sacken at 3-8. You picked the Kansas City Royals this week. So, breaking news: Charlie has taken the Cardinals. We've got the card in. Charlie has taken the St. Louis Cardinals this week. So, we'll see if we'll have more than one team over 500 next week. Playoffs continue. Harvey Award winners will get the goddamn Steve T Steakhouse gift certificate out again.
And we'll talk Connor McDavid going to Edmonton.
If you want to, we'll tickle your funny bone doing that. Trivia, draft stuff. Shot in next week's contest. David and Nathan, I'll come up with something stadium related. So we'll talk about the high school stadiums in western South Dakota next week. And the 115th edition of the Sports Lounge.